Good afternoon, and welcome to Transition 21. What should business in the 21st century look like? Why? And how do we get there? And I think the first thing that needs to be said is that I can't possibly do justice to this type of topic in 20 minutes. So this is going to be a quick overview, and I'll need to talk fast if I'm going to get through it. The second thing that I was going to say is that this, of course, comes within a very well-organized conference where we started with governments as change agents. Now we're looking at companies as change agents. And later on, we're going to look at the corporate body as a sustainable corporation and financing climate change. And I just wanted to, I put the slide in here, I just wanted to mention that in the next two sessions, there is a sense in which we're going to ask the question whether it should be governments or corporations that should be financing, whether corporations should be meeting compliance measures or whether they could do beyond that. And I think that was addressed in the previous session where it's obvious that everybody needs to do what they can, so I won't stop on that. So we're going to look at companies as change agents. The capitalist system has left the world's largest carbon footprint. How can it reverse course and maintain profitability? So that is what I'm going to be addressing, and we'll start with the global economy, which is, of course, based on taking stuff from the natural world, making stuff and selling it, throwing stuff away and making more stuff to sell it. That's sometimes known as linear flow economics, or the take, make, and waste model. And now my computer is frozen. There we are. Okay, now the growth-based economic model that we've had for the last long time, since the Industrial Revolution, has had its great benefits. So if you think about infant mortality, there's a graph that shows infant mortality rates have gone down from 1948. That graph actually finishes in 1998. It's enabled things like airline travel, which has allowed lots of people to go to different countries, experience different cultures, broaden our horizons. And if you don't get on a plane, you can always keep in touch via Facebook. This is what technology has done for us. It has allowed us to work longer and harder and smarter. And it has, by and large, produced lifestyles with leisure time, or leisure time, as the Americans would have it, that was unknown a few generations previous. And that is what we've seen with the innovation over the last, a century since, or 2 centuries since the Industrial Revolution. A whole bunch of other things also have happened. So the benefits of the global economy hasn't reached everybody, not nearly enough. So this is a young lady who should be in school, but she's spending her time collecting drinking water, which doesn't look very clean. Sometimes some people get a bit too much of their share of the global economy. And it has led us into habits of consumption here. Just illustrates our kind of addiction to fossil fuels. That, of course, has fueled climate change, what we're talking about, so increasing number of floods. At the same time, there's drought. So I don't know if you noticed the news over the last couple of days. You start with the floods in Pakistan, move over to the floods in China, and another part in China, and then the next news item is the drought and famine in Africa. Forest fires. This is the outskirts of LA. Last year, Australia had big fires as well. And stuff going on at the poles. and this is quite serious for our future. If the permafrost, of course, melts, which the permafrost holds vast quantities of methane, and if there's a big methane explosion, then we get runaway climate change, and it is game over. So consumption patterns have also led to a loss of biodiversity and natural capital beyond the Earth's capacity to restore itself and regenerate itself, and has, of course, produced a whole bunch of rubbish, which that illustrates. And, of course, all these pictures, or all these trends that I've talked about, is compounded by the fact that we have a huge growth in population, and as populations get higher and higher standards of living, then the impacts increase exponentially. And in fact, we live in the age of the exponential curve. You probably can't see everything here, but they're all exponential curves, from population growth to water use, the damming of rivers, the number of McDonald's restaurants, paper consumption at the bottom. That's good because that means probably more people are literate and reading. It also is bad because that represents a lot of trees being cut down, telephone sales, etc., etc. Next. It's probably time for a new computer. There's stuff that they didn't teach us at school. So, for example, how much water does it take to make a cup of coffee? Most of us would say, oh, kind of about that much. But it's actually 136 liters to make one cup of coffee, because there's not only consumption in consumption, but there's consumption in production. It takes 970 liters of water to make one T-shirt. And 30 million trees to provide the USA with books for a year. And we are consuming at rates that are almost unbelievable. I mean, there are loads of statistics about this. Here is just a few. Global personal consumption in 2005 was 24 trillion US dollars. Global consumption of cosmetics equaled the amount needed to eliminate global malnutrition. That's about 19 billion. More is spent on ocean cruises, 14 billion, than is needed to provide clean drinking water for everyone on the planet, US 10 billion. And this is an interesting statistic. The US self-storage industry grew between 1995 and 2008 3 times faster than the population, with per capita storage space increase of 633%. So we're buying a whole load of stuff, and we need a whole load of space to put all our stuff. Now, there are, I think, 2 interlocking dynamics in a consumer-led economy. One of them is the dynamic surrounding economic structure, in which economic structure and stability depends on relentless economic growth. But this dynamic has a perfect partner in a very different dynamic, and it is almost the dynamic of what it means to be human in the modern world. The dynamic of the social psychology of consumption, or our appetite for novelty. And novelty, new things, signifies for us sometimes hope for the future, progress, better functionality, easier ways of doing things. It also can play into some less good consequences, like status competition. I want the bigger house, the faster car, the latest gadget. But these 2 dynamics sit so perfectly together, the one playing off the other. So we have a